What kind of world is this? Gao Shang cried out. You ask a good question. What kind of world is this? There is a man who sees millions are about to be hurt, millions are about to become slaves, but he doesn't care. Tell me, what kind of world is this? What do you want me to do? Can I really stop such a great disaster? You should be blaming the scientist who made the death ray weapon. If the death ray weapon is in the hands of countries that want peace, then there will be no more wars in the world. This is the simplest truth. Don't you understand? Why, Gao Shang? So, you want me to take this death ray weapon? Gao Shang, you should understand our difficult situation. The local police cannot get involved in complicated international spy work. However, we have orders to step in by saying we are stopping the deal in this city. We should try to take the weapon and plans, or at least destroy them. Then why don't you do it yourselves? Frankly, we can't. Because we are known police officers, the moment we appear, the other side will immediately know who we are. But you are different. You are already that kind of person. You take risks for money. He Tiangshong is dead, and everyone would think it's normal for you to take over this deal. Gao Shang lowered his head, said nothing. And no one spoke in the room. After 10 full minutes, Gao Shang finally looked up. What will my reward be? If you bring the death ray weapon sample and plan safely to us, you will receive 200,000 pounds. That's 1/10 of the money a country in Southeast Asia offered, which is what He Tiangshong was supposed to get. If you are forced to destroy the death ray weapon and plans, then you will receive no reward. However, you will have done a huge help for millions of people in another country. You know, the country getting this weapon often brags about defeating other countries. If the death ray weapon falls into their hands, then defeating others will no longer be a dream, but real. I only care about my 200,000 pounds. If you agree, I think you can get it. I'll also need some information you have. Very well. Officer Sun, please hand over the information we have to Mr. Gao. Chen Jiali himself put Gao Zhang's gun back into Gao Zhang's pocket. An officer took a file and handed it to Gao Shang. This is Officer Sun, in charge of special police records. To talk to me less. You can directly contact him if you need information. Understood? Gao Shang nodded. Gao Shang, we trust you because you're a man of your word. Since you've agreed, you will do your best. You should know that we can't help you much with this. Gao Shang looked serious. He thought for a moment, put the file under his arm, patted Inspector Chen Jiali on the shoulder, and turned to leave the room. 2 minutes later, he had left the secret door and stepped into the dark, long alley. The cold wind blew against his face, making everything that had just happened feel like a dream. He had actually agreed to work for the police. It was hard to believe. But then he thought, this was not against his goal of working for money. 200,000 pounds was a lot of money in today's hard world. Gao Shang left the long alley, holding the file tightly under his arm. He walked quickly forward and soon reached the main road. He didn't call a car, but instead, after walking less than 3 cross streets, turned into another quiet small road. He stopped in front of a building, looked left and right, then hurried up the stairs. He stopped at the door on the 3rd floor, took out a key, opened the door, and switched on the light. This was one of Gao Zhang's many homes in the city. The inside was simply furnished, but it had a rather comfortable bedroom and a small living room. Gao Shang entered the bedroom, closed the door, and then sat down at a desk. The moment he sat down, he opened the file. As soon as the file was open, something suddenly popped out. Gao Shang jumped back, knocking over his chair, and fell onto the bed. He rolled on the bed, his gun ready, aimed at the desk. The file lay open on the desk, showing a very colorful silk flower. The paper flower was 3D, purple outside and white inside a magnolia flower. It was so real. It looked like it was just picked from a magnolia tree. This paper flower had been tucked inside the file. When the file opened, the flower sprang up. This was a common thing. Like many greeting cards, Gao Shang had just been startled for no real reason. He should have laughed at himself. However, as he looked at the paper flower, his expression grew even more serious. Female Black Knight Mulan Hua, he cried out. The moment he said those words, a click sounded from the doorknob. The bedroom door, which he had just locked, was pushed open, and a masked figure dressed completely in black appeared before him. Gao Shang jumped up. He immediately made his gun ready, but with a click, the gun made an empty click. His gun was empty. This was hard to believe. His gun was full. After shooting twice in that alley, there should still have been 5 bullets. How could it be empty? A late-night visit is quite rude. Mr. Gao, please forgive me, the masked figure said. The voice that came from the black-clad masked figure was soft, charming, and clearly a woman's. Gao Shang jumped up, but as he did, the black-clad masked woman flicked her hand. With a soft whiz, a hard object suddenly hit Gao Zhang's wrist. Gao Zhang's hand let go, and the gun fell. The black-clad masked woman flicked her hand again, and another hard object hit Gao Zhang's knee, making him fall back onto the bed. I don't like hurting people, but if Mr. Gao keeps moving, I also have a deadly weapon on me. Although the black-clad masked woman's voice was still charming, her scary words sent a chill down one's spine. Haha. In such a situation, Gao Shang could only force a dry laugh. Miss, are you the famous Mulan Hua? The black-clad woman giggled, pointing at the silk flower in the file, and said, You saw this flower, so you should know. Miss, Gao Shang took a sharp breath. I believe young ladies shouldn't do things like this. Double quotes. As he spoke, he reached for the blanket on the bed. Suddenly, he threw the blanket up, rushing at her with himself and the blanket. This happened so fast that Mulan Hua made a small cry. Her body knocked down by Gao Shang. However, almost at the same time she fell, she rolled and jumped back up. Gao Shang also jumped up at that moment, and both their hands rushed towards the desk. With 2 pats, both hands pressed down on the file at the same time. Mulan Hua raised her left hand, which held a shiny brass tube, about 7 inches long and as thick as a finger. As her hand moved, a thwack sounded, and a small stone shot out, hitting Gao Zhang's right hand, which was pressing on the file. Gao Shang felt pain, quickly pulled back his hand, and the file was already in Mulan Hua's grasp. Gao Shang quickly turned, his right arm already around Mulan Hua's thin waist. Mulan Hua pushed off with both feet, jumping 4 feet high, and her body suddenly plunged downward. Gao Shang couldn't hold on and was instead knocked to the ground by her. Mulan Hua jumped up, a beautifully made gun now in her hand. Seeing the gun, Gao Shang had to stop. Mulan Hua's voice was soft and sweet, saying, Mr. Gao, a real man should know how to admit defeat, so I lost. Gao Shang shrugged. Of course. Mulan Hua held up the file in her hand. I came here to get some information, and now, this information is in my hands. Gao Shang smiled sadly, feeling helpless. Indeed, the information was now in Mulan Hua's hands. That information was very important. He was supposed to receive the death ray weapon and then move it using that information, yet he hadn't even seen the information before it was lost. How could he not have lost? Mulan Hua, Gao Shang tried his best to gain time, hoping to find a chance. Do we have any old fights? Mulan Hua giggled. No. Then why are you causing trouble for me? Mr. Gao, you are a pathetic child. Mulan Hua shook her head and sighed. You think you're smart, but you're just a puppet. What does she mean? What does she mean by saying that? Gao Zhang's mind worked fast, but he couldn't understand what Mulan Hua meant at all. He leaned forward a little, planning to hit the gun in Mulan Hua's hand, or distract her to grab the gun, but the moment he moved, Mulan Hua laughed and backed out of the room, saying coldly, Stay put, or the bullet will show no mercy. Mulan Hua was about to speak when a whistle came from the main door and stairs. Mulan Hua backed away, shouting, Don't leave the room, you've already lost. Mulan Hua, moving very fast, opened the main door and slipped out. Gao Shang, moving even faster, rushed out of the room and to the main door, but when he pulled open the main door, the staircase was dark and empty. There was no one there. Gao Shang paused at the main door for a moment, then immediately returned to his room. He called Officer Sun's number. The phone was answered right away. Hello, this is Gao Shang. This is Officer Sun. What can I do for you? Do you have a copy of the information I just got? The voice on the other end hesitated. Yes, we do. Why do you ask? Please make the copy quickly. I'm coming to the police station to get it right away, Gao Shang said. Wait, Officer Sun's voice was very urgent. This is a special case. It's secret even for the police. You cannot come to the station. Why do you need a copy? Please don't ask for reasons. Gao Shang, of course, couldn't say that the whole file was stolen by the female Black Knight Mulan Hua. All right, in 20 to 30 minutes, wait for our people at the corner of Sinan Road. Gao Shang hung up and hurried downstairs. The street was dark and quiet. Gao Shang didn't see that a minute before he came down, Mulan Hua was still hidden around the corner. Only after he came down did Mulan Hua move back and get into a car. Someone in the car opened the door, and Mulan Hua slipped inside. The dim green light of the street lamp showed another person in the car. That person was also a woman, and a very beautiful one. This woman was Miss Mu, who was with Inspector Chen Jiali earlier. Her face showed very worried. As soon as Mulan Hua got in, she asked quietly, Sister Mulan Hua, did you get it? I got it. Drive quickly. Why did you wait so long after getting it? Mulan Hua reached up and pulled down the black cloth covering her face. A very sad look suddenly appeared on her face. She was a very beautiful woman, about the same age as the lady next to her, but she looked thinner. Her thin lips, strong nose, and big bright eyes showed that she was smart, strong-willed, and special. The famous female Black Knight Mulan Hua was actually such a charming and attractive woman. This was probably something many who feared her name would never have thought. The car drove silently forward. Mulan Hua remained deep in thought, not saying a word. The lady next to her also drove carefully. The car drove fast along the dark road. About 10 minutes later, it stopped in front of a villa. The villa's iron gate opened, and the car drove inside. Mulan Hua and the lady in the car both got out and entered the house, going directly upstairs to a beautiful room on the second floor. Mulan Hua sat in a chair, still thinking deeply. The lady said, "Sister Mulan Hua, quickly, what information is there?" Mulan Hua opened the file and looked at the document inside. There was only one piece of paper in the file, and the words on it were very simple, and at the same time. Not just Mulan Hua but also Gao Shang was looking at that paper. Gao Shang had already received his copy. At the street corner, leaning against a street lamp, he opened the paper. Meet a lame man at PM on February 17th at Peak Plaza. The lame man is an agent from a certain country. He will take He Tiangshong to meet the person transporting the death ray weapon. The code word for the meeting is Sun. This is the only information. Gao Shang read the paper twice, then tore it into pieces. Mulan Hua read the paper twice, and also tore it into pieces. That night was February 16th, and the next day was February 17th. February 17th was not a holiday, so not many people were at the peak. At PM. An old man with a bent back appeared on the mountain road. His face was full of wrinkles. He wore a long robe, and he walked slowly, leaning on a cane. This old man carried many candies, and whenever he saw a child, he would give them a candy. He would then smile kindly as he watched the children eat their candy. At 40 p.m. The old man sat down on a bench in Peak Plaza. After he sat down, his sharp eyes looked around. And no matter how much his face and way of standing looked like an old man, his eyes could not fool someone who watched carefully. An elderly person could never have such eyes. The old man, of course, was not an old man. He was Gao Shang in disguise. Gao Shang could have met the lame man without a disguise. However, Mulan Hua had also gotten the same information. Mulan Hua was sure to be there at the same time, trying to meet the lame man. Gao Shang had already lost the first move and could not afford to lose the second. Therefore, he came disguised. He not only wanted to be the first to meet the lame man but also to stop Mulan Hua from meeting him. Gao Shang, with his sharp eyes, looked around. There weren't many people in the plaza. A few maids in white were playing with children. Gao Shang carefully watched these maids, checking if Mulan Hua was among them. However, after his careful look, he decided that Mulan Hua couldn't be among these maids. Besides the maids, there were a few couples talking closely. One couple sat with their backs to Gao Shang, facing a thick grass area, talking softly and excitedly. Gao Shang secretly laughed. How could these lovers, lost in their love, know that their romantic spot was also a place for a tough fight? Gao Shang felt happy. Mulan Hua might not have come. He looked at his watch. It was already 48 p.m. 12 more minutes. Although Gao Shang had been tested by a life of danger for a long time, at this moment, he couldn't help but feel nervous. Time flew by. It was already 50 p.m., and the lame man he expected had still not come to the Peak Plaza. Was the information wrong or not correct? As Gao Shang was thinking this, a car drove by, stopping near the open area. A dark-faced, lame man stepped out of the car and looked around. Gao Shang suddenly stood up and rushed forward quickly. Before he could reach the lame man, someone suddenly bumped into him from the side with their shoulder. Gao Shang, surprised, stumbled. He knew something was wrong and quickly turned back to look, only to see that the person who had bumped him was a handsome young man. However, Gao Shang could tell right away that the handsome young man was Mulan Hua. After a moment of shock, Gao Shang immediately raised his cane. His cane was special. The back half was a sharp knife, and the front half was a special gun. But Mulan Hua was faster. She kicked his wrist with a thwack. The cane fell. At the same time, a soft voice sounded behind Gao Shang. "Mr. Gao, please turn around and look." Gao Shang turned his head and saw Miss Mu. Gao Shang suddenly froze, his whole body still. Miss Mu had no weapon in her hand. She just held a tube of lipstick to her lips, as if putting on lipstick, but the lipstick was pointed at Gao Shang. The reason Gao Shang instantly froze was that he knew right away that the lipstick in Miss Mu's hand was a new kind of weapon. This small gun could only fire 2 bullets, made a very quiet sound, and could only shoot a short distance, but Gao Shang was only 5 feet away from Miss Mu at this moment, perfectly within range. "Mr. Gao," Mulan Hua said with a smile, "let me introduce you. This is my cousin, Miss Mu Zhuzhen." She says you've already met. Feel free to talk. Please sit down, Mr. Gao. Mu Ziyuzhen smiled, holding up the lipstick in her hand. Sweat appeared on Gao Zhang's forehead. He wanted to get a handkerchief from his pocket. Don't move. Obey my command. His hand had barely moved when Mu Ziyuzhen coldly gave the order. A very awkward, sad smile appeared on Gao Zhang's face. He turned his head, looking at the cane lying 4 yards away. If only he could grab that special cane back, but it was too late. He wouldn't get the cane. Mulan Hua stepped forward a few paces, picked up Gao Zhang's cane, spun it, nodded and smiled at Gao Shang, then walked towards the lame man who was pretending to look around. Gao Shang wanted to follow, but Mu Ziyuzhen's command came again. Mr. Gao, please sit down. Gao Shang fell back onto the bench, the sweat on his face now running down. He had lost a second time. He had not even imagined that the couple talking closely with their backs to him earlier, the man was actually Mulan Hua in disguise. Oh! What more was there to say now? Mulan Hua was always one step ahead, winning every time. She had already made contact with the lame man, who was the main person in charge. The death ray weapon sample and plans would fall into Mulan Hua's hands. Gao Shang didn't want to lose to Mulan Hua, but now he watched, unable to do anything, as he was about to lose. He turned his head and saw that Mu Ziyuzhen was still aiming the lipstick gun at him. To those unaware, an old man sat still on a stone bench, probably resting, and a beautiful lady was putting on lipstick. Who would have thought there were so many secrets in this scene? Mulan Hua spun the cane, and with very light steps, approached the lame man. Son, she whispered. Son, the lame man replied in a deep voice without turning. He immediately turned and walked towards the car parked by the roadside. Mulan Hua followed closely behind him. In a flash, they both got into the car, and the car immediately drove away quickly, leaving dust behind. On the long wooden bench, Gao Shang watched the car disappear, his eyes wide and empty. While Mu Ziyuzhen wore a happy smile, inside the car, Mulan Hua and the lame man sat side by side. The driver was a strong man, wearing a hat pulled low, covering most of his face. The car drove down the mountain road. Are you sent by He Tiangshong? The lame man spoke first. No. Mulan Hua leaned forward a little. The lame man turned his body to the side, reaching to press a button on the car door. With 3 pats, 3 guns came out from the car roof, all pointing at Mulan Hua. Who are you? With one press of this button, 3 bullets can simultaneously pierce your body. Ha 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 ha. Mulan Hua laughed, her expression calm.